Hello and welcome to a Gamasutra video interview. We're doing it a little bit different today, as you can probably tell by the lack of small pictures of people to the side. We're playing Hail today from Midnight Status, and the person you can see just on the screen in front of me here is Jeremy Alessi. So, Jeremy, why don't you sort of explain what it is that is going on right here?
So right now, Mike and I are connected on two Starship bridges with a video feed on the main viewer that's rendered in 3D. And surprisingly, as I found, this is the first 3D rendered video chat available for Unity, and as far as I know, available for anything that I've seen. And so this is a game about kind of connecting with your friends and getting in for like an episode, like an episodic type experience, doing some problem solving in space, and also having fun talking with your friend, and maybe using the video chat for to kind of augment your imagination. You could say things and show things on the video chat that otherwise you couldn't do. So I think that players are going to be able to inject their own imaginations into the game in a way that we probably can't foresee. So.
Yeah, so I mean, how did you sort of come up with this idea in the first place?
So years ago, I worked with a friend on some simulators at a local flight simulator place called Hangar 9. And as we were working on these flight simulators, we started talking about Star Trek and how cool it would be to do a bridge simulator. And, we had that discussion. And then like a couple of years later, like a year later, I think Artemis came around. And, we played Artemis and checked that out. And we're like, oh, this is really neat, and that's kind of the idea, bridge simulator, everybody's got a station. And but after playing it, something was still kind of missing. It had the ship, it had the controls, it had all the sensors and the stations, but there was still something missing. I couldn't quite put my finger on what I felt was missing from that experience, but I knew from that point on that I didn't just want to make a bridge simulator based on that concept, on stations and stuff like that. Although I thought that would be definitely a cool part to have in it, and so it kind of brings us to this time, and we were making a video chat plugin. This actually came out of something called Handheld Handyman, which was an app I wanted to develop to connect like homeowners with people that work on their house to fix it, because I fixed my air conditioner with a friend over FaceTime, and I was like, oh, neat. So I started working on that, and I was like, oh, I've never written video chat before, but it made me want to solve that technical puzzle piece. And so I started working on video chat and was able to get it working. And since I'm a game developer first and foremost, I actually started doing it in Unity, because I was like, well, it'll be cross-platform and it'll do all these things. And I was able to get that running and created a plugin that's on the asset store for other developers to use. And then I felt like we needed a killer demo for it. So I was like, oh, let's do a Starship demo, because we had a demo with a game called Swapfire that I made for the 7-day FPS like last year.
Okay.
I just put like the faces on the characters' heads and stuff, and it was neat. But it was like really quick. I just put a cylinder and video feed on the cylinder, and that was it. So I thought it would be neat if we did something a little more thematic. And so this is like over the course of years. So I've kind of forgotten about the idea of doing a bridge simulator. It wasn't really connected at first. And then we got this demo up and running, and we were like, oh, that's great. It's thematic. It fits. It looks pretty polished. I think people get a kick, and it might get their imaginations going how they can use video chat. Once we got it up and running, then that's when we were like, oh, now I want to hit all these buttons. Like, I want to do stuff with the ship. And it was like, well, we should make a full game out of this. It is a cool idea. And now I think we've got a really neat, it's some people are wondering whether it's a gimmick or whether it will lead to real depth in gameplay. And, I guess that question's still to be answered. I can't really tell you for sure. I think it's a really cool, gimmick. And then I also think that it could lead to a lot of imagination coming through the game from players. So everything from role playing to the way that they exchange information. So
yeah. So I mean, what kind of things are you thinking about then? So you're saying like players will be thrown into sort of episodes of you could sort of say like Star Trek style scenarios. I mean, what kind of things are you thinking up right now?
Yeah, everything from spatial anomalies to like old traps. Like some of the things were like old traps where they had to figure out how to balance energy just right to get out, or I mean, political situations, battles. I mean, any of those types of situations would work, I think, for a puzzle, almost in like a Portal type fashion,
Hmm.
but where you're communicating with the player in a kind of Metal Gear Solid like way. That's how we're kind of looking at it. If we're going to use gameplay analogies, we're like, okay, in Metal Gear, you talk to a lot of characters, but it's always through this radio, and you see their face and stuff like that. And then in Portal, you're doing sequencing with physics,
Yeah.
and so that's a lot of kind of how we see the gameplay kind of going. Only you're going to be using the ship's capabilities to sequence these puzzles while you're chatting with your friend. So in terms of raw mechanics, that's what that's like.
So, I mean, with regards to sort of taking it a step further, I mean, first off, would it be possible to sort of do it with multiple friends, to have multiple videos, or is that just sort of getting beyond the realms of what's sort of possible right now with it?
I think that's a really good question. That's part of the technology piece that we want to work on. So we
Yeah.
in our office that you saw in the like our Kickstarter video, there's a bunch of sticky notes, and so one of the sticky notes is doing many to many video chat with it. So
Yeah.
right now as the technology stands, it does. You can do one to many. You can broadcast the video chat, and you can obviously do one to one like we're doing right now. But yeah, in the future, I would love to see the capability to either switch really quickly between people. So it's certainly conceivable that we could have multiple ships and we could have like an almost like a massively multiplayer style game. But
Yeah.
I think for the first iteration of it, we'd be looking for something where it's you and a friend, you get together, you've got like an hour or 45 minutes carved out to do an episode. That's kind of like the episode length we want to hit. So it's like watching an episode of a TV show. You solve the puzzle, you move the story forward, and we're actually a big thing is that we're working on the story right now with a really talented storyteller and artist named Vince White, who's created the Willpower comic book series. And so he's a local to Hampton Roads, Virginia. That's where we're located, and so he's done some amazing art and come up with this. One of the things that we spoke about in the video a little bit, and then some of our updates
Yep.
on Steam or on Kickstarter is this thing called the cold. And basically the angle we're going to take with Hale from like the human condition standpoint is that what if you did the extreme of everybody on their cell phones all the time? What would that look like? Okay, so now you're out in space and all you do is talk to people through your ship, but rarely are you in the same ship with other people and stuff like that. And so our technology, as it connects us more, but it also puts us further away from each other.
Mm.
And so we said, well, what if we kind of went off of that direction, off of that vector, and then said, you know what? Now there's an alien race called the Cold. And this is something that spawns up when you've got a combination of humanity, community, and technology. And so we're trying to, put the pieces together and polish it up. But the general idea is that, there's this fear of the cold. This is something on the outskirts of space that has kind of accelerated this process. And so humanity still wants to explore space, still wants to get out there, but there's always this threat of the cold, which is a virus kind of getting into the mix and taking over. So
Yeah. And I mean, I'm guessing, other than sort of thinking about this whole being on a bridge thing, I'm guessing you've also been like batting around in your head other ideas for putting, sort of video chat in games like this as well. I mean, are there any other ideas that you think it would be quite sort of cool to follow up on those as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The right now we've got kind of like designs just for doing something like one of the other sticky notes on our wall is like do a sort of building game like a Minecraft-y type game.
Okay.
Where you can video chat with each other, and it just seems like it would bring you into the space so much better, where you can read each other's facial expressions and things.
Yeah.
We were saying that if you had a first-person shooter, even where the video chat feed was on players' faces, and that was done really well, like behind the mask in Halo.
Yeah, because I guess that actually happens a lot in a lot of kind of futuristic first-person shooters anyway, doesn't it? Where like characters are popping up in your visor and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, you could put it inside the visor so that you could connect when you're not there. You could see it on the characters, like on the 3D model when you walk up to them. And one of the scenarios we said was, well, what if you are facing the player and all of a sudden they make a crazy facial expression and you could read from their facial expression that there's something crazy going on behind you.
Yeah.
And so it could bring situations like that into the mix. So I think video chat inside games is going to be something we see big time over the next few years. I don't know if it's going to be this generation or if it'll be the next before the bandwidth is really there. It seems like this is imminent to me that we'll be putting video feeds inside of our games. With all the Twitch streaming and recording that's going on right now, why not render it inside the 3D engine and put everybody inside the game? There's this PlayStation 4 commercial out right now. Actually, I don't know if you've caught it. It was on, like, I was watching GameSpot video review on something before, and I saw the commercial on there, and it was showed like two buddies, and they were like battling as if they were inside the game, and then they were racing each other, and then they were like playing football, and they were shooting, and I think that type of scenario, even though that's not real, that's just a commercial. I think that's where we're going. I think that's where it's going to be. So the video feeds will be on the characters' faces all the time. When you go in to play a video game, it'll be like you and your friends are actually inside that world with each other. So
very cool. Right, so yeah, this is for anybody watching. This to say again, this is Hail, and it's on just started on Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, we've been running the campaign. We did a 60-day campaign because we're small and we knew it would take a while to get this message out, so we did a 60-day. So we're like, I think we've got 29 or 28 days left, something like that. And we're trying to get our message out, and we're trying to create our content, as we go. So we've brought on the stuff that Vince White has contributed, and we're showing more of the story, and we're doing these, we're trying to video chat with people so you can see, how you can communicate over this main viewer and how this is rendered in 3D, which, like I said, surprisingly is something that's not really being done. So
yeah, well, I really love the tech. It's very cool. Right, well, yeah. So if anybody is sort of interested in checking this out, so people can actually go on starhail.com right now and they can just have a go with this tech demo, right?
Yeah, they can play with the tech demo. It just allows you to chat right now. We don't, the ship capabilities aren't there yet. We're working on like a pilot episode. That's something that we're working on. We're pretty excited to get the story lined up and then actually put it into the game engine. But another thing I should mention, if other developers are looking at this, the video chat plugin is something they can see on the Unity Asset Store. And so if they have ideas for their own game where they want to put video chat or employ that, they can do that as well. So
excellent. Right, well, thanks very much for talking to me, and yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, really. So yeah, I would definitely suggest that if anybody's even slightly interested in a look at this, then they should check it out. Thanks very much for talking to me.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Bye bye.